Hello, I'm Veronica Papacosta, CEO of Seafood Industry Australia. Joining me here today is the wonderful Andrew and Renee from Tobin Fish. Hi guys, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Veronica.
And when I say joining us, Tobin Fish is the newest member of SIA and we're very excited to have them on board. What I wanted to do today, guys, is just talk to you a little bit about where you've come from, your trajectory through industry, because I think it's a fantastic story, and a little bit about what your ethos is at Tobin Fish now. So if I can hand over to you, give us a little bit of background for everyone watching. Go.
Yeah, thanks, Veronica. I guess we started out, both Renee and I, a long history in university, then academics, but principally around fisheries science, so myself biology and ecology, and Renee in social science. But and through that we love the marine environment, love seafood, love fish, love being out with commercial fishermen, and that was our initial introduction. And once we got a little bit frustrated with the lack of activity in adaptive fisheries management, if you like, we thought, oh bugger it, we'll go fishing instead. And that was the genesis of Tobin Fish. So back 22 odd years ago, after spending a lot of time with fishermen and learning a lot about the environment through that interaction, we bought into the fishery and started fishing ourselves.
Right. And look, I tell everybody that will listen, and this is coming from someone who has got fish and chip shops, that your Spanish mackerel chips and salad is still one of the best fish and chips meals I've ever had. Tell me about you. You're obviously hooked to plate. So tell me, you mentioned that your frustration was in adaptive fisheries management. How does it feel from that side, from the industry side? Have you seen progress? Have you seen change? Or is it still a challenge?
It's still a challenge. And I think the environment in terms of fisheries management is too strict and not able to adapt quickly enough for a changing environment, number one. And also changes that come about may not be in the best interest in the fishery. After a year or two, they should be revisited. Whereas it's very much a set and forget process. And that process has that ugly side, which is the overriding good knowledge by politics. You know, oftentimes one of our biggest frustrations we'd run a project, we would form really good relationships with fishermen and other stakeholder groups, get to the end of a project 2 or 3 years that a lot of people have invested money and time into, and you lay down the results on the table, but they get disregarded because of politics, and that was just not our cup of tea. We didn't want to play in that space anymore.
Got too frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think running a business is tricky. It's a tricky time at the moment. I think we can both agree. We can all agree. What other challenges are you finding in thinking in a view to joining SIA and maybe getting involved in trying to find solutions? What are some of the other things that you think are challenges now that need to be addressed that keep you awake at night?
I'll keep awake at night. Oh, sorry. I guess, the reason that we started Tobin Fish Tales, the shop, was based on all the research that we'd done. So I was doing a lot of social science research, talking to a lot of commercial fishermen, but also rec fishers, consumers, and just finding that the community had a really negative view of commercial fishing that was not warranted. We have some of the best managed fisheries in the world, from the cleanest waters in the world, and people had a really negative view of that. So the idea of Tobin Fish Tales was to try and let people know how great these fisheries are and expose them to more information about local seafood in a fish and chip shop setting. Yeah. So we've been doing that for 9.5 years. So, and others have been around Australia as well, but we'd really like that sort of story to keep growing and get the consumers behind industry. They don't realise what they're losing when politics closes an industry. And that's been something, that was a frustration from research that I found, that we thought, okay, we'll change tack. We'll find another way to try and communicate what's going on in the industry and to try and promote these really good fisheries.
The other side, I think, Veronica, that we found as well is that fishermen are generally very proud of what they do, and they enjoy being outdoors and catching fish for sure, but they also enjoy knowing that they're supplying a really nice product into the community. And so, but they're not often positioned in a way that they can sell their story or interact with the consumer or interact with the community at large. So that was the other, trying to bridge that gap that Renee describes it from the other way as well, to give the fish identity to the fisherman, to the location.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation, because what I find, and as a retailer as well, I note the difference between the love of fish and seafood, Australian seafood. So the community unequivocally prefer Australian seafood, but it doesn't always translate to the love of Australian fishes and fishing. And that's something we always try and work on. One of the most surprising statistics that I give people is that we're currently 64% of the fish we're eating is imported, and that makes people really unhappy. So bridging that gap is it's a constant piece of work. So 2 questions. Are you winning in your local community? Has the model worked? Has in your local community where No,
Tobin Fishtails, our little fish and chip shop, is just an amazing business, and incredibly proud of what we've done there, and particularly incredibly proud of Renee. You know, that I haven't stepped foot into the shop for probably 4 or 5 years now. And she has great staff there supporting her, but it is very well supported. But we're actually just in a phase now where we've advertised the shop for sale, because we want to get back to a bit simpler life, and that means going back fishing. To us, that's a simpler life. But we upgraded our boat, so we got a bigger boat with a little bit more independence, and we'll keep our Western truck business running as well. But it'd be like spending a month at sea and then a month out west, and getting back to a simpler life.
Fantastic.
Tell that story of the industry as well. We're still really keen to try and keep the communication open and education open of consumers and what they're eating and where it's coming from. Hoping to learn how to use YouTube.
And look, I've kept you for a while, and I know I can see you're on the boat and you want to get back to that simpler life, that hard simple life, by the way. But can you tell me a little bit about GBR MPA Reef Guardian fishes? So Rumpa Reef Guardian fishes. What is it, and why is it so important?
So there was a great initiative that a previous employee, now retired, Randall Owens, started, and it was, as Renee was saying before, often fishers are maligned in the community, but this was a management agency that was stepping up and saying, hey, there's some really good things that happen in the fishing environment, and there's some really good operators. So it was a program that started up about profiling fishers that are working in local areas, local communities that are very proud of what they do, often going above and beyond or innovating in some way, or whether it's marketing or their fishing practices on the reef. And, just taking a breath and saying, hey, these guys are pretty damn good. And, so it was a great initiative, the Park Authority. I think it's a little bit stagnated now, and I'd love to see them get it reactivated and more active, because it's a great story. There's a lot of great stories out there to tell in the wild catch sector in particular.
Excellent. Guys, well, thank you so much. Thank you for spending some time with us and telling us about what you do up there. And I know I think you've underplayed your impact. I think for the local community, Tobin's Fishtails has been wonderful, and you're doing a great job. And we really appreciate the support at SIA, and look forward to working with you on some of those issues as we go forward. So thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thanks, Veronica.
Thanks, Veronica. Thanks for yours. We appreciate it. Excited to be part of SIA.
Fantastic.